So Miguel, how's it going, man? What's happening? How's it been?
So far, so good, man. So far, so good.
Oh, good to see
Enjoying
you.
life here, so relaxing.
Yeah, this Casa, what's happening?
Great weather.
We have another episode number 3. What do you think? So, what do you think of 1 and 2?
1 and 2 were great episodes. We had 2 wonderful guests that gave us very good views of all the topics that we share with them, and we're going to keep improving and keep bringing that quality of guests into our show.
Yeah. Today
is no exception.
For those people who are mathematical aficionados, people who love numbers, as Miguel is, he won't say it, but he's kind of shy. But our guest today is someone that's going to excite the people who love mathematics. It's a special day for you. We're going to have our guest for today, who started as a professional poker player, blackjack player, card counter, and then teacher, professor at the university, and then later on became developed into an inventor of table games, primarily blackjack games. So we're ready, guys, to see our next guest for episode number 3?
Yes.
Ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Geoff Hall. Geoff Hall is going to be with us today. He's coming in as I speak.
Hello, Geoff.
We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you.
He's doing that on purpose. He's
I
on
am doing it on purpose.
He's on purpose. Because you never move.
No, you're not muted. You're not muted.
He never moves his mouth that fast.
Yeah, he was doing the Chinese kung fu move.
Unless he is eating.
Yeah, the Chinese kung fu where they sort of go like, they go, hello. And he's like, that can't just be hello. Anyway.
Damn you.
Yeah, that's it. It's
Hello,
good to be here at last.
Good to see you, Geoff.
Good to have you with us, Geoff.
Great, you're here with us. Yes.
It's been quite some time, my friend. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. Considering, spending too much time on my own at home, and I took up backgammon recently, just before the pandemic started, and so I've continued with that, and it's allowed me to improve slightly on that game. Managed to represent the UK actually around Christmas time, so I was really honoured and pleased to be involved in that. As far as designing other games, I was working on Lucky Cat and Diamonds when all the pandemic broke out, and so I've got a few installations in Vegas, and the idea now is to get that momentum going, because I've completely lost that momentum of going over to Vegas, meeting up with casino directors, getting them to install the game. Currently, Lucky Cat Blackjack is played at the Golden Nugget, and it's also played at the Four Queens, both downtown. And then Diamonds is also played at the Golden Nugget and also at the Cosmopolitan on the Strip. So they're both doing very well, but I just really need to get over there and to promote them more and get them into other casinos.
Mm-hmm. So Diamonds, that's a side bet. Actually, we launched it here in Punta Cana, if you recall. Mm-hmm. It's a side bet.
We had it. Yes. Sorry, Bruce, you were the first casino actually to try Diamonds out. Mm-hmm. And really encouraging that feedback from you and Miguel, both saying that, the game is getting around 80% participation.
Higher.
For a side bet, I'm happy with 20. Mm-hmm. If 1 in 5 people play it, I'm happy, because that's extra volume for the casino. But to get 4 out of 5 people playing this bet, and it was mirrored as well at the Golden Nugget. I was getting 70-80% participation on Diamonds. It slots onto any poker game, and so really encouraged. I just need to get over now to Vegas and really promote it and get it out into more and more casinos.
Why don't you tell the folks what it actually is? Because this is actually an ultimate Texas Hold'em game right here, I believe.
Yeah, well, the idea with Diamonds, Bruce, is that it slots on to any poker-style game that uses a single deck of playing cards. And it's a very simple bet. So it adds to the existing game, as you can see with Ultimate Texas Hold'em. It's an additional betting spot. And people can play, if they play it, very simple idea. They're trying to get as many diamonds in a mixture of their hand, the dealer's hand, and the community cards as well, whether that consists of 5 cards or whatever, depending what poker game it is. So with Ultimate Texas Hold'em, you've got a total of 9 cards that are used between the dealer, the player, and the community cards. And so you start getting payouts, where, as you can see from this pay table, from 4 diamonds. You get 4 diamonds, you start getting paid out. You get the full 9 diamonds, and you get a nice payout, obviously, bigger payouts. So it keeps your intrigue, because sometimes you play Ultimate Texas Hold'em, you're dealt king of clubs, 2 of diamonds, you're like, wow, I don't like this hand. But then the flop comes down like 4 of diamonds, jack of diamonds, 10 of spades. Now you've got 3 diamonds, and you've still got 4 more cards to come. So now the interest is peaked a little bit that way, as opposed to what you're holding as part of your hand. So it just adds another dimension to a poker game for players to get a bit of excitement about.
And with Lucky Cats, your audio pulled out a little bit.
It's really played. That graphic comes from Genesis, which is a software company run by Mike Lee. I may speak about a little bit later.
Excuse my graphic, but it's not a great graphic. It's not high definition, but the best I can do is short notice.
Yeah, no, it's a lot higher definition. Yeah, it's a lot higher definition on the internet. And the idea with Lucky Cat Blackjack is it brings a little bit more volatility into a game. And players do like volatility, as long as it's not overly volatile. So the idea with Lucky Cat Blackjack is that when the dealer busts, gets over 21, normally they pay the table out. But this game, the dealer now rolls some dice, and the outcome of rolling those dice depicts whether the player gets paid increased odds, or on the downside, because obviously it's got a balance, whether the player receives a push.
So excuse me, on the dice, there's a picture of a cat.
Yeah, this is what I call version A, which is it's got a single lucky cat on one side of the dice. The other 5 sides are blank. And so 4 dice are thrown. And if no cats come up, then you get a push. And then obviously, as you can see from the pay table, if you do happen to get the 4 cats, you get 100 to 1 on your bet, as well as get paid for winning your bet. So it's not a side bet there. Players have to put an extra bet on. It's built within the game. At the Golden Nugget, they've gone up to 9 lucky cat tables now. The game's doing really well. The director there, a good friend of mine, Jason Side, has really helped to introduce some of my newer games. He actually introduced free bet blackjack when I first designed that. And so I work very well with Jason, and also Jake Wood, who works alongside Jason Side. And they're up to 9 lucky cat I beg your pardon, 9 diamonds tables and 5 lucky cat tables. Last time that I counted, and they may even have 1 or 2 more in since I last spoke to them. So they're the sort of places where I want to go over, Bruce, and tell other casinos about the success, at the Nugget, and try and replicate it into their casinos and expand the game into a bigger market.
Yeah, we had it on 3 of our tables, actually 4 of our tables here in Punta Cana, and they all had the same play. And you know what? The players were excited because, first of all, they were curious. They were longtime players of Ultimate Texas Hold'em. The customers, the guests that come here, of course, obviously it's a resort, so they travel to go to the beach and have a good time during the day. But at night, they want to go and play their favorite game, that they played in Las Vegas or whatever. So they've been playing it for a long time, and it's the same game. So when they saw something new, they were excited and said, "Oh, let me try it. Only $1 minimum, whatever." I think we had a $5 minimum, and they were hitting. There were some hits, and we were excited for them. It wasn't an easy thing to measure because the table is not equipped to measure the side bets because it's not RFID, radio frequency chips or anything. But we had a higher drop and we had a higher hold percentage, and that's how we measured it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point what you say. It's difficult to measure, but you can sort of get a feel. And I think players, when they play a side bet, they don't know what the house edge is.
Mm-hmm.
So that they get a feel for, am I getting paid? Am I getting a reasonable deal on this? You know, do I feel that I can win? And like you said, you were getting some payouts and players did feel, you know what, I've got a chance in this game.
Sure.
And that's what it's about. If they've got no chance, they're going to stop. They might play it for one night.
Mm-hmm.
I think
the best
what it
measure
is
for a games inventor, sorry, Miguel, for a games inventor like me is when casino directors like yourself and Miguel and Cassie turn around to me and say, I'm getting repeat play on this game. That's music to my ears.
Mm-hmm. That
players are actually coming back a second, third, fourth time to play that same game. Because everybody will try something once.
So how I mean, like, how do you do this? I mean, to create a game that people want to play again and again. It's crucial, I mean, to create a good game, but like, what is this? What it takes to create such a game?
Yeah, that's a good question, Cassie. I mean, the idea, when I look at blackjack, for example, is I look at the nature of the game and I say, what do people particularly like, or what don't people like on the game? So, for example, for blackjacks, when I first designed Blackjack Switch, it was great to play two hands, but it was even better if you could switch your cards around. And so that developed Blackjack Switch. For players hate being on 15 and 16. I hate being dealt 15 and 16. So I developed another game called Zap It, where you could just say, take it away. There's another game where players seem to feel the dealer keeps turning 20s over all the time. So I developed a game called Burn 20 Blackjack. There's a game where you bust your hand and you're not necessarily out of the game. Hence Zombie Blackjack, another game.
So it's kind of, you're looking at the points that are missing in other games, kind of like, and you cut this and like create on the basis of this like a better game, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, I try and think,
which is not easy to spot it. I mean, it's not easy.
You've got to put
points.
Yeah, you've got to put yourself in the player's position, and I'm quite good at putting myself in a player's position and seeing it from their side, being a player myself. And I think, how could I make this game nicer or better experience?
Yeah.
The downside, of course, is then how do I bring a rule that the casino, that compensates the casino for putting a good rule in? And when I first put Blackjack Switch into the Taj Mahal in Atlantic City, which is a great casino in America to start with, I used the rule that the dealer took ties on 17, 18, and 19. And the player acceptance was there because they liked the switching. But there was still a little bit of a bitter taste in the mouth by losing ties on 17 or 18 or 19. Ultimately, I developed the push 22 rule later on down the line, and that turned the game around. But the surprise is that losing ties on 17, 18, and 19 gives the casino 5.3%, whereas pushing on 22 gives the casino 6.9%. So it gives the casino more on what looks like a nicer rule for the players. It was certainly more accepted by players.
I would say, Geoff, that is the perception and something that brings a new dynamic to any game. For the serious player, though, the serious blackjack player is always going to want to have straight blackjack. But for the casual person, the person that is looking for entertainment, the regular people that just walk into casino to have a good time, the type of games that you bring, they're exciting to them because there's a lot more to do. There's a lot more things happening. And in their eyes, they're going to see, wow, there's a big payoff here, 100 to 1. 3 to 1, 5 to 1. Those things attract people that are not serious gambler, because the serious gambler will always stay away from any type of gimmicks that are brought up into certain games. They just want the straight game because they know it, and that's all they want to do.
Yeah, it's a good point, Miguel. You're never going to take everybody away. I mean, the blackjack market, there's a lot of players who play blackjack. So even to interest 5% of the players is a real accomplishment. But I have got fans. I've got fans of Blackjack Switch. I've got fans of Free Bet Blackjack. I get emails even though I've sold the game, I still get emails from players saying, where can I play this pot of gold, which is a side bet for Free Bet Blackjack, which adds that extra excitement again. Like you say, the big payouts, 1,000 to 1 payouts. I actually walked through the Golden Nugget about 2.5 years ago when I first put diamonds in. And this dealer was explaining to this player that if she'd have put the diamonds bet on, she would have got paid 300 to 1 because she was actually dealt 3 diamonds and the dealer had 3 diamonds. And she was there going, really? You mean $5? I would have won $1,500? And he's like, yeah. She's like, oh, wow. And I'm thinking that's another reason players play side bets as well, because not because of the big payouts. They're scared of not putting the bet and it coming up.
And coming out.
Yeah, coming out. I would have won that. It's a bit like the lottery tickets. If you've got your own lottery numbers, you're screwed basically, because you've got to play them every week, because you're guaranteed that 1 week you don't play them, 5 or 6 numbers will come up. You'll go, what the heck? Why didn't I play them that week? The side bets, again, I revert back to they need to be volatile. They need to be fair, though. They need to give players a chance. But they are typically far more volatile than the base game themselves.
And you mentioned also like another important thing before about that the game needs to be compensating for the casino also, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, like, how do you create a game which is at the same time great for a player so that they can win, I mean, and also compensating for the casino?
Well, that's the really difficult part, Katsia, because it's easy. Most people could say, I can improve that game, and they can come out with a rule that would make the game better. The catch is, it's like a pair of scales. It's balancing and getting a compensating rule that players enjoy or will accept. Like, for example, push 22 seems so innocuous. It seems so fair. In fact, there was a casino on the strip, and I won't name the casino, but when I first showed free bet to the casino, and for your viewers, just to explain, free bet is a game that if players get a double or a split, the casino will put a gold coin that mimics their bet size. So they're basically paying for the player to double and split for free. In return for that, the dealer, if they reach a total of 22, it's called the push 22. Everybody on the table pushes, so it's a standoff. So this one casino that I showed on the strip, he wouldn't put the game in. He wouldn't put free bet in. He says, I'm not putting that game in because there's no way that that's got a house edge. I said, look, the math has been done. Everything's been verified by GLI, Gaming Lab Scene. And he was like, I don't care. Unless I get my own mathematicians, there's been a mistake somewhere. And he was convinced that, the game was player friendly.
Why don't you give your example with, say, a $20 bet, Geoff, so Casa can really understand and view it, if you don't mind. Right, Casa?
Yeah,
so you can see it?
Yeah.
So to give you an example, if a player plays $20, they get a pair of 8s. Now they put another 20 down. If they get another 8, all of a sudden they're putting another 20 down because they can resplit. Now they could get a 2 or a 3 and they're allowed to double. So all of a sudden they've got 4 bets out there or $80. And if it goes wrong, they've lost 80% of their initial buying stake before they've even had a drink. The cocktail waitress is making her way across the floor. They're like, well, I'm down to my last $20 here. Now, with free bet blackjack, what happens is you put your initial $20 on, but any further splits and doubles, the dealer will slide a gold coin that mimics that same amount, i.e. $20. So in the example I gave, the player would be left with a $20 bet and 3 gold coins. If they lose them all, it's tough, but the player's only lost $20, so can still enjoy their drink that the waitress brings on. But if they do win, they get paid the full $80 without having to put the excess money on.
So in that scenario, they only put up $20 and that's it. But they will still get the same. They will still get the same reward as if they invested $80.
Exactly. It was like Mike Shackelford the Wizard of Oz, very well known in the gaming industry. He played free bet, and he described it as having a wealthy partner, male or female, who was basically paying for you to double or split every time you had one.
Right.
And if you won, basically saying, just keep it.
Yeah, you kept it all.
Yeah. So,
let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. When you think about why a casino would put even try a game like free bet or any other table game, or even a slot machine in the slot area, it's the same. Think about a Walmart or Macy's or a Neiman Marcus. It's merchandising. They have a product on the floor, a certain dress or suit sells, or the perfume, and they have to, it's a high demand for it, so they have to keep restocking it, right? So when they do their quarterly reports, they show a good result. But now if they have that same inventory, that same product on the floor, and comparing it to the other products in the same areas, and that product is not selling, well, now you got to think about replacing it. And so when you replace it, Geoff will approach a casino, if you will, and he will sort of offer his particular game, in this case, free bet. It's indicated by FB right here. The previous product, let's call it Casino War. So we have a Casino War game, and it's performing, but this is lower compared to the other tables around in the same area. So let's try free bet. So in this particular example, we go May to September in 2018. It's a very small window. From May to September in 2019. So we put that in. Let's look at what it did the previous year. And basically we picked up free bet. In this particular case, there was $100,000 more spent and $15,000 actually won. Okay. If you take a different window, this is a 3-month window, there was still another indication of some more revenue being spent. There was $70,000, $79,000, let's call it $80,000 more spent. That's more spent, more in addition, and $18,000 more that was actually won by the casino. And then there's another window here from January to July, same thing, 7-month window, $3,000 more in spending, $13,000 more in win. So I think in this particular case, although I'm sure there's analysts out there that would look at a longer window, that's not really a good figure. What's interesting about this particular analysis, there were actually players on here that lost more money. And I think there was at least 2 gentlemen that lost, one lost $20,000 and one lost $15,000 on free bet. But we pulled it out because it wouldn't have given us a good read on the analogy. You know what I'm saying? So we pulled that out of the analysis to give us a real true read of what was happening with the average player. So we actually added another table in, because it performed pretty well. And that was Miguel's choice. Miguel said, hey, let's put another table in.
It's interesting as well, Bruce, because there is a casino that I deal with quite frequently that has 11 blackjack tables. And when they were looking to put Switch in, they were like, well, I haven't got a lot of room on my blackjack tables. But what they did is they ended up putting 2 Switch tables in and going down to 9 tables blackjack. But the overall hold money they took was much higher than it was the previous year. And actually their blackjack drop hardly got affected because it's difficult to fill 11 tables 24 hours a day. Mm-hmm. It might be full on a Saturday night or a Friday evening, but on a Monday morning or Wednesday afternoon, you've got, it's all about offering that additional choice and that, players actually, they might go in to play free bet blackjack, but they might have a partner with them who wants to play on the slots. They might not just be exclusive to free bet. Mm-hmm. They might start by playing free bet and then switch to roulette or ultimate Texas Hold'em. Mm-hmm. So you've got that player on your premises. And one of the biggest movements I had was in 2008 when the recession hit and all other businesses were dropping. And I picked up tremendously. And this was the birth of Blackjack Switch really on on the Strip, because what happened was the Win contacted me to say, look, we're looking for ways to bring people back into our casino. Before that, they were happy. Why change something? Everything's great. They're holding well. The blackjack's going well. Why try a new game out? But that all changed with the recession. It was like, how do we get these players back? And once I got on the Strip and it worked, I got the MGM Grand, I got Harrah's, I got Caesars, I got all the big names to contact me and say, we've heard that it's done well at the Win. Let's have a shot. And that was the birth of Blackjack Switch, really, on the Strip in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
That is always something that you see happen when a casino, especially high-end casino, brings something in and they see that it's doing well. They immediately want to bring it in, but many places don't want to take a shot at it initially. I'm always willing to take a shot if somebody comes to me with a new game or something that it can improve the traffic in the casino that I am. I'm always willing to take a shot. Why not? I don't want to wait and see if it's going to work somewhere else for me to bring it here. Let's bring it in here. What's it going to do? The worst that could happen is that you get no play. You got no play. You didn't lose anything.
Mm-hmm.
The name is there. It's a trial period. You can see if it works. If it works, then you expand it. Like we did with the games that Bruce was mentioning before. We had one gamer was doing quite well, and we said, okay, let's bring another one in.
Well, you see here, Casa, so you can see this indication. The Wynn Casino is the most prestigious, I would say, probably, it's a different opinion, probably one of the most prestigious casinos in Las Vegas on the Strip, or even in the world, probably.
In the world, I would say, yeah.
And you see this whole pit area, when we say pit, that means several tables. They're all Geoff's games. This is free bet blackjack. This is zap it blackjack right here. And the other ones are back here. They're all push 22 games, and speaking of push 22, it's good that they're all in the same place. Miguel, can you imagine being a relief dealer? And if there's only one push 22 game and the other games are standard blackjack games?
That is something that happens, you have to train your dealers very well because some places they have a regular blackjack table and then they have a switch table.
We don't count over 21, Miguel. Dealers, we don't count over 21.
Yeah. And then the transition from one game to another is tough.
Yeah. When I first introduced the game, it was into Europe, and the dealers count the cards right up to the bus total. So if they get 16, they pull a 10, it's 26. They got 13 and they pull a 9, it's 22. It's not just too many. And so this 22 reference rang an extra bell with them. So when I went into the Four Queens, which was the first casino to try Blackjack Switch in America with the push 22 wall, I didn't really emphasize the push on 22. I just said, look, if you get 22, you don't pay anyone out. The problem with that is that a lot of the dealers are like, 14, a 10 comes out, too many. That's fine. But 14 and 8 comes out, too many. And some of them would start paying. Well, the players aren't going to say, excuse me, you're paying me here and it's a push. Players are quite happy, they're not cheating. They're happy to make the most of an error from the casino's part. And the downside is that Blackjack Switch had a slower than preferred start because some casinos removed the game because they said, well, we're not making any money on it. And I was like, you've got to get your dealers to push. Now I've got several games out with push 22. The rule is quite common and it's quite well known. And as Bruce said, there's pits that have got push 22 games. Venetian have got something like 19 or it might be 21 free bet tables or push 22 tables in their casino.
Geoff, there's a name for guys like you. There's other names for mathematicians. I was looking it up, and have you ever been called let me see if I have this name right, Trigonometrician?
No, I'm not even, I assume it means something to do with 3, but that's about it.
Trigonometrician. That's a synonym for mathematician. Also, algebraist.
Yeah, that would make sense, that one. Yeah.
Probability theorist.
Well, a trigonometrician would be somebody who
Yes,
deals with trigonometry,
Trigonometrician.
which is another side of math.
Hmm.
It's one of the branches of math. Algebra is probably at a higher level.
Hmm.
At a higher level.
Yeah, I look also when I looked at Trigonometrician, I feel like I must, I felt like I had somebody that had trigoids, says, hey, what's going on? How you feel? I got some trigoids. Oh, I have a great trigonometrician I can refer you to,
Some sort of disease.
Yeah. So, Geoff, I was talking to a mutual friend of ours, and coincidentally, he told me that he is launching one of your unlicensed, but he's launching one of your games on the online version of it soon. And then I saw that it was also connected to a conversation we had a few months ago when you were sort of integrating the two games, Blackjack Switch and Free Bet. Is that true?
Yeah, it's funny because when I was in Vegas a few years ago, I had players come up to me and saying, like, wouldn't it be great if you could like play Blackjack Switch but have free bets on it as well? And I said, yeah, it'd be great, except I'd have to push on 22, 23, maybe 24. And that was it. But I gave it more thought. And what I've come out with is a side bet. It's called a bet booster. And what that will do will allow players the option, if they wish, to play Blackjack Switch as they would normally with all the switching, but to have free bets as well. So that's going to be quite exciting. I think players are going to really enjoy that extra dimension. And if they just want to play Blackjack Switch, that's fine. Because they can. They don't have to play the bet booster bet. It's optional. And then a good friend of mine who you know, Mike Lee, who's very well known in the internet industry, used to work for some very big companies. He set up a company called Ascot Gaming, and Mike has agreed to program and try out the Blackjack Switch variant with the bet booster. So I'm going to get some great feedback from Mike before I go to places like Las Vegas, which incidentally I've heard back from Nevada Gaming, because I have written to them, and they've told me that the bet booster can go on as a simple modification. What that means is I don't need a field trial.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, it's looking that way. So it means I can just slot it onto existing Blackjack Switch games. And Glenn Cassell at the Four Queens, a very good friend of mine, again, director of Four Queens.
Mm-hmm.
He's
my good friend.
He's indicated that he's willing to try out the game and said, let me know when it's ready in Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on that as we speak.
Geoff, do you see yourself going into the online market? I mean, are you working on anything to prepare yourself for an invention and for an online game, or can you adapt any of your actual games into the online market right now?
I think, Miguel, that just by natural choice, I'm having to move more into looking at the electronic market, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Live dealer experiences, which obviously involves internet. I did a deal with Blackjack Switch early on, which was exclusive, which obviously at the time, when you're new, you'll take any deal that's thrown your way. But obviously it did cost me some internet placements on other sites. With my newer stuff, I'm trying to, certainly not give exclusivity, but also on the land-based side, it's getting harder and harder to protect your game now, because of there's a couple of cases that have come up in the US Patent Office that have gone against what's called methods of play and ideas of play, and less protection. And unfortunately, as a result, you do get people attempting to copy your game or downright just pirating your game altogether, and it makes it a very difficult situation for everybody, certainly in my position, that comes out with new designs, new ideas. Because if I come out with an idea that doesn't work, it still costs me time and money, but nobody's going to copy that. If all of a sudden I come across a game that works, which might be on my 5th or 6th attempt, that I've come across a game that, yeah, this is working well in the market. Now people come over and copy it. And so it's very unfair. I don't know what the solution is, except that maybe working electronically, you have got a bit more protection at your fingertips. And obviously, as Bruce knows, and yourself, Miguel, that I work with Scientific Games, or have done in a large capacity, and they've got that availability to promote your games on a more electronic aspect. So that could be something to look for in the near future.
It's getting harder nowadays to deal with and protect your intellectual property with the piracy out there. There's people willing to do almost anything, and especially with patents. When you have something patented, it's real easy just to, like it is with a product, that you can just turn around something and put a different screw on this side or a different bolt on the other side.
Especially with less regulated countries and jurisdictions internationally.
Yes.
And
so many jurisdictions to deal with. And how can you protect yourself that your intellectual property doesn't get stolen, or it gets a little bit altered and you do not benefit from it?
Well, that's the key. I mean, in the past, you could rely to an extent on the US patent. The Push 22 patent that I've got was published in 2004 and has served me very well. But obviously, in the last few years, some of the patents that I've got, you feel aren't so strong because they can be copied. And there's a certain reluctance to take any action because the patent office have got a different viewpoint now to what they had 15 years ago. So it is more difficult. And I can give you an example. Here in the UK, one of the operators was told, they were licensing this side bet and paying for it. And one of the operators, who I won't name, came in and said, look, I can do this for a lot less. All I've got to do is add a couple of different payouts and change the name. And they thought, well, why don't we just do that ourselves then and have it for free, which is effectively what they did. And it doesn't encourage people like me to go out and start spending time trying to think of new designs, new ideas, because I feel like they're either going to fail and cost me tens of thousands of dollars to get into place in the first place, or they're going to work, but instead of getting the full reward, I might get 25% before it's, copied or something. So it's difficult. Plus, there's a lot of inventions out there as well. So it's tough as it is. It's difficult to not come out with something that isn't out there to a degree.
How many patents do you own, Geoff?
Not many, actually, because for example, Free Bet, when I sold that game, I sold the patent along with that. I did keep the Push 22 patent. That's one I've kept all along. But
Smart.
It's less than a lot of my games, don't forget, Bruce, use Push 22 to protect it. Like Zombie Blackjack, Power Blackjack, Free Bet Blackjack. All these games use Push 22. So the other patents that I wrote didn't have as much protection to me as an existing one that has been used and licensed by other companies in the past. So now I'm sitting on really just the Push 22 patent. I've got a patent in place for Diamonds and for Lucky Cat because they're my newest. And the Bet Booster, again, that will be something that will be patented as and when it goes into Las Vegas. So probably a total of 4 or 5 patents, and that's it.
Geoff, and it's great to be a game creator, I think, no? Like, how did you start it? It's a cool job, it seems, for me.
Yeah, well, what I did was I sort of...
How are you? Like, what are you doing? I'm a game creator.
Yeah, it was done by accident. I used to teach math originally, and then I went to a casino by chance, just on a fun night. I got interested in blackjack, I'm quite mathematical, so I learned how to, count cards. Ultimately, I'm speeding this up a lot, and then I really got fascinated by how you can turn the tables on the casino by counting cards. I had a good friend of mine, Stephen L. Young, who is also a games inventor. And he was a very strong blackjack player. We used to tour around the UK. We got banned. I got banned from a few casinos. He got banned from pretty much all of them.
So Geoff, tell us about the times where the big security guys with the big hairy shoulders and backs and the missing teeth and spoken foreign languages grabbed you and took you to the cellar, put your head in the vice, and they squeeze the vice and pop your eye out. Tell us about those times when they. Yeah,
it's a little bit more. Everything's done nicely in a nice way. It's all polite. I mean, looking at your backgrounds, you've all got your nice background. I look like I'm probably part of an identity lineup.
Yes.
There's 2 or 3 people. Either that or I'm calling you from myself.
It's a cold room. It looks very cold there because you're a card counter. So when you grew up, was your household full of games? Did you guys play a lot of games? Your parents and so forth?
Yeah, well, my parents are avid bridge players. My mum's a grandmaster bridge player.
Wow.
So she's a very strong player. My dad's a very strong player as well. They've won a lot of tournaments between them. Although I never took bridge up, we were always interested. I've got 3 younger brothers, so we used to play all the typical board games, Monopoly.
So were you beating them at when you were 8 years old? You were beat everybody because you were this brilliant kid.
I was competitive, but I think it was more of.
Tell the truth.
To twist. No, I like to.
I was competitive, wasn't I?
I like to twist games. I like to try and make games more interesting. Obviously, it would be like if somebody said, "Let's play Monopoly. We haven't got much time tonight." I'd say, "Well, I've got an idea then," and I'd introduce the rule to speed the game up a little bit. And so I think my strength has always been that. I'm a pretty good mathematician, but I'm also good at seeing from the other side, and I think my teaching has helped. That just because I know what 9 8s are straight away, it doesn't mean to know that somebody's going to struggle knowing what 3 6s are. You've got to understand. To them, that's like me asking you, Bruce, what 19 12s are, which is going to take you a little bit longer to work out. Like Cassia said before, what makes you decide on a game, it's having that ability to look at something from different viewpoints, from different angles. And we've all had, probably in our education, we've had a top, like I have at university, I've had top professors and mathematicians, but sometimes they might be so good that they can't understand why you struggle with some of the simpler aspects. And so they talk at a different level, and you end up not really grasping it. I actually ran a card counting awareness course for managers at a casino in Europe. And so I got all the managers together, and I remember saying to them, one of the questions was, you've got a card counter here, and they're betting $25 minimum, and they're betting $300 when they've got a big edge and sort of steps in between. How much do you think they earn per hour? And I was getting answers like $2,000 an hour, $5,000. The answer is something like $35 an hour or $40 an hour. I forget. But nobody got close. The lowest was around $300 an hour.
And how did you figure that?
Well, you work out
the theoretical win.
How many hands you play in an hour, which is roughly sort of maybe 100 hands in an hour if you're heads up ish, and your average bet size and your average edge on winning that bet size. Don't forget, even card counts only get typically a 1% edge most of the time.
And that's the house edge is 1% on the blackjack table.
Correct. So it's very small.
So what the counter is doing is even it up the odds. So
yeah, you've got a very slight edge, but people's attitudes, and these were all managers. These were all good managers of some big casinos in Europe who were coming out. One of the answers was like $2,000 an hour. And I'm like, they think you just keep throwing $300 out and winning. It just doesn't happen like that. Mm-hmm. And, it's that, what I said to you, Bruce, when you phone me up and say, I've got a blackjack player here, he's spending, $1,000 a hand, he's winning $18,000. What's going on? I'm like, it's variance, Bruce, it happens. Mm-hmm. But overall, this is your expectation, this is what's going to happen. And it's, it's knowing those numbers to a degree that can help you make those decisions about even putting new games in, and things, and new side bets.
So, did you know that it was Kasha's birthday? We wanted to surprise Kasha today. It's her birthday today. You didn't know that?
I didn't know that. No. So happy birthday,
you
Kasha.
do now.
You do now.
Happy birthday.
So, in honor of Kasha's birthday, what do we have here?
We got a candle.
Thank you, bro.
We don't want to say how many candles we have to light.
Wait a minute. Where's my? Wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. Ready, guys? Ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Because the delay in the internet, dear Casa. Happy birthday to you. Okay, blow it out, Casa. Blow it out.
Thank
blow
you.
it out. You got to blow it out.
Okay, let me think of a wish.
Okay. Wow, look at that. You blew it out.
That was well done, Bruce.
Very good. Many more. Good health. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
The internet's not really good for singing a song in time together, is it?
No. Especially if you're not a good singer.
No.
That was about it was about two tones too high for me, Bruce.
But that was a worldwide birthday song,
around the world.
Dominican Republic, United Kingdom. Casa, you were singing in Valencia, So what's new? What's next on the map? What do you got going on? Do you have any place, anywhere that people can contact you, ask questions of you, and stay in contact with you and things like that? Website.
Yeah, I mean, really, the easiest way is to drop me an email. Those who don't know my number, just drop me an email at jeff@blackjackswitch.com. Mm-hmm. And if I respond back, it will have all my contact information on that. Mm-hmm. As far as plans going, I'm moving house next month. Looking forward to that. Moving to the countryside more. So a few tractors and to give me a little bit more inventiveness. That it lends itself to that, having that feel of being able to just sit down and come out with something, invent. I'm a bit different to some of the other events. Like a very good friend of mine, Roger Snow, is a very successful
scientific games. Yes,
scientific games. Yeah. And myself and Roger, we work really well together, but we've got different styles. Roger will take something and he will really, he'll just sit down and he'll start attacking it, and he'll start, looking at ways to develop a new game. I have to, I just have to feel in the mood for it. I can't just work like that. And Roger will, he'll bring up things and he'll look at other suggestions, and he'll just use all that information to come out with something new that he develops himself. I find my best ideas actually happen as I'm falling to sleep in bed, and I think that's because your subconscious takes over and it blocks out some of the conscious barriers you normally put in place. Mm-hmm. The silliness. I mean, I've come out with some crazy ideas in my mind, but at least one or two of them.
I believe you. I've seen you in action, Geoff.
Yeah, I mean, one or two of them have. And Roger will tell the story actually about the free bet. I hadn't cracked free bet at the time, and I was lying in bed, and it was about 5 a.m. I hadn't got to sleep, and I kept thinking there must be a way. And I thought about this gold coin, and I knew I'd cracked it, and I phoned Roger on the hotline. Roger's like, Geoff, it's 5 a.m. I said, I know, but I've cracked it. I know what to do. And he was like, you're right. Yeah, And so.
Do you remember actually when I was with you? I was in Florida and I flew out to meet you in Las Vegas, and we went to the Venetian. We met with Sean McCreary and Hector to do the field test. Well, not the field test, but they had the site license and for the gold coins, for the pot of gold.
Yeah, and that pot of gold has done really well on the free bet.
Very well.
And so my idea of moving house next month, that will hopefully lend itself to being a little bit more inventive, and then after that, probably planning a trip to Vegas in May or June. I can't wait to get back there after 2.5 hours, 2.5 years.
You have to
being stuck in the UK.
You have to. I don't know. There's a lot of noise coming in on the mic again. I don't know what that is, but you have to come back to visit these guys. Remember, this is when we were introducing Blackjack free bet, and they actually sent over a trainer for the game. But you found that was a good excuse to come over to the Dominican Republic and hang out with Miguel and I. And Miguel arranged it for you to come over, and this was your class that you were teaching free bet to. And they were so excited. They could not believe they met an inventor of a game that they were dealing every day or going to deal. They never met an inventor of a game. So that was you there with your class. This is you actually teaching it. I think, or we could have been faking it. It could have been a photo op. You were showing some of the hands. Look how everybody's really into it. You had the pit bosses, the supervisors were all learning the game. That was a lot of fun. And
they were good students, Bruce. I didn't know at the time that they'd been trained, because I remember saying to you after the first session, they've picked this up so well. It's unbelievable. And you went, well, they have had some training. I went, oh, you didn't tell me they had a trainer.
Yes.
And, but they were really good. But I don't need an excuse to come to Punta Cana. Anyway.
This is when you were launching Zap It. This was at the Red Rock Casino in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I tell you, Geoff, this has been always a pleasure seeing you. It's been a joy. We hope that you'll come back because we have more things to talk to you about.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to come back. And there's so much information that obviously you can't fit everything in. And so this is a snapshot. And hopefully later in the year, I can fill you in on more on what's been happening.
Yeah, can you do a numbers trick with us? Can you do something with us on the numbers?
Yeah, Bruce. There was a math tricks that Geoff is doing. Yeah, let us do it.
Yes.
I want to
Actually, I was going to say, Bruce. So what you said about the roulette guy, Bruce, it reminds me. I've got some funny stories in the gaming world. We all have, and the one in particular that makes me laugh is there's a casino in the UK, and one of the players there, who's quite a well-known player, had managed to get a $5 chip and attach a very fine green thread to this chip. And what he would do is he'd bet on the one of the bottom three sections of the roulette wheel, one of the columns. And because he sat at the edge of the table, they were just in front of him. And so they all paid 2 to 1 to bet on a column. So he'd put his chip down, and if it came in, he'd get paid 2 to 1. He'd win $10. If it didn't come in, what he would do, he had this green thread in his hand, like, here under the table, and he'd just yank it like that. And this chip would come flying back down into his lap. And it worked a treat. Nobody seemed to spot him until the one time where a few people followed him and put some bets on top of his chip. And it lost. Well, he didn't want to lose this chip, but he couldn't pull it fast. So his way to do it was to start just pulling it slowly toward. And the dealer looked around, and there was this pile of chips making his way towards this player. So of course they stopped him, and they looked back on the camera, and they saw this chip, even in slow motion, going, on this guy's lap. And they gave him a bit of a warning, and but it was just a funny story about what people go through, what people do.
Geoff, let's do the trick.
Do you know any numbers tricks, Geoff, that we can do?
Yeah, there's a nice one that I showed you in Vegas that unfortunately doesn't work online.
No. Oh,
And
that's
that was one.
that's a great one.
Yeah, just to let me go out and Casa know that Bruce nagged me for a whole week about giving him the solution to this trick I showed him. And after 7 sleepless nights, I felt that sorry for him. I did give him the solution. And he's used it ever since, actually. I believe, Bruce.
All the time.
You even told me you used it in some of your seminars or something.
Let's try it. Let's try it.
Well, unfortunately, I can't do that one. I'll do another one, which is a bit easier. And again, it's got a nice effect.
We'll do the easy one for you guys, okay?
It's just easy to do online. It's just something which is you need a phone or a calculator. So if you got, I've got my phone. You need to get your calculator function.
Okay.
There you go on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody can try this at the same time. So when you got your calculator set, put in a 3-digit number.
Any
I don't need to say the number. Any 3-digit number.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you've got a 3-digit number in your phone. Now repeat it so you've now got a 6-digit number. So for example, if you put 1, 2, 3 in, you would now have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
So now you should have a 6-digit number on your phone or calculator.
Mm-hmm.
Now divide that number by 13 and put equals.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then divide it by that new number, divide that by 11 and press equals again.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
And then finally divide it by 7 and put equals.
Mm-hmm.
And you should see that the number you've got left with.
Yeah. Well, it's the same number that we started with.
I don't remember what I started with. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you have to know what you started with.
Yeah, if I can.
Yeah.
So that's just something. It's got an effect to it. It's quite
cool.
It's quite interesting.
Whether you know this or not, Geoff is a fantastic piano player and vocalist, by the way. He's also a buzz killer also. No disrespect, I love your brother. It's been over 20 years. But we would be at these great parties, great parties in Vegas. And everyone's having a good time. They're hobnobbing and everything. Their music's playing. And, I'm an old musician and everything. And I'm not a great piano player, but I can hang. So I get on the piano and I'm playing some Luther Vandross, Luther Vandross. And it's real soulful and everything. Very, very soulful. And Geoff says, "Oh, let me play." And they're clapping. Yeah, Geoff's going to play the piano. They're clapping the game's inventor because he's getting all the attention. He's signing autographs. So he gets on the piano and he jumps on there. He does this little arpeggio. Then he goes into lie, Delilah. lie. Buzz killer. They're like, what the fuck is this guy? And man, Geoff, you got to come up with another song. And then he sings at karaoke too, by the way. You want to sing that to us, Geoff?
Will you play the piano for us?
Yeah, it's out of tune a little bit, but that's my excuse.
Oh.
I've just learned, or I am learning by ear, The Joker and the Queen, which is about poker actually. So it's quite apt really. So I can have a go at that, but I will make some errors.
You want to go get set up? Go ahead and get set up, and we'll talk with each other.
I can take my laptop over.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here.
Sure.
I can. Let me just. Oh look, I happen to have one of my backgammon trophies as well that happen to be there.
Oh wow, nice.
Very nice.
Okay, can you see anything? No.
Yeah,
What will you play?
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
Well, I'll give a short
Mr.
rendition.
Geoff Hall.
Of The Joker and the Queen, because that's one that hopefully people will know. If not, I'll have to do something that Bruce picks for me. So that goes something like. Something like that. Anyway.
Oh man, that was beautiful. That was beautiful, Geoff.
That was
Really,
great.
really
was
nice.
great.
You're playing great.
Very nice.
Can you sing also?
Can I do what?
Can you sing also?
I can, but I can't sing that one.
Not Delilah.
Very unique, special voice, and I'm nothing like that.
No, Geoff, that was.
I could be the Tom Jones, you know. Actually, I used to sing Tom Jones so much. I actually went to my doctors and said I keep singing Tom Jones, or it's in my head all the time. And he said, well, you've got Tom Jones syndrome. And I said, well, you know, is it rare? And he went, no, it's not unusual.
Okay. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Geoff Hall, please put your hands together for Geoff Hall. No, Geoff, I tell you, man, thanks so much for being with us, man, and I hope you had it as much fun as we did hanging out with you today. Can't thank you enough. It's just always a pleasure and always fun to hang out and speak with you and talk to the old days.
There's lots of stories, but look out for my book if ever I get round to writing it, because I will.
Go ahead.
You know, Confessions of a Casino Games Inventor, and Bruce will be appearing in that in several chapters, I'm sure. I'm gonna make it PG. Don't worry.
No. I'm a church boy. Geoff, listen, it's been an honor and a pleasure. So we hope to see you soon again, if not sooner on the podcast over here in Punta Cana or in Valencia, Spain. Who knows, right? Yes.
I'd love to go to both. There's all warm sunshine and some great people there.
Yeah, man, without a doubt. So
It's a pleasure seeing you again, my friend.
As usual, Miguel, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for spending this much time listening to my.
It's amazing to meet you. I'm very impressed by your knowledge and the whole experience.
Thanks, Cassia. It means a lot. You know, you're great company. You're all a great crowd, and let's hope we meet up in person later this year. I'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah, it will be great.
we will definitely, Geoff.
We will definitely.
Cheers, mate. Tally ho.
Okay, cheerio.
Cheerio. See you, mate.
All right, you take care, all of you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye
Thank
now.
you very
Geoff,
much.
I'll catch up with you
Bye-bye.
later, Geoff.
Okay,
Take
Bruce.
care.
Take care.
Bye.
Wow.
Yes, that was
It was
great.
It was a great meeting.
Unbelievable.
Wonderful conversation with our dear friend
knowledge.
Geoff Hall, the inventor of many games and a great personality. So it's a pleasure having him with us.
Yes, and you know, I'm always amazed. I mean, I'm impressed always, but he never stops amazing me with some of the things he talks about mathematically. You know, like I said, we work with numbers every day, but he kind of takes it to another realm when he's referring to numbers. And like I said, in his own right, Miguel is quite a mathematician himself. I'm not as quick as Miguel.
Bruce, this time I must say it was a unique experience.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So anyway, for Cheques Play, we hope that you tune in again and hit the like button and subscribe.
Hit the like button, share it with your friends. They will love it. We are available already on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts. So just, listen to us. We are inviting great guests and we have amazing topics. So there is a lot of valuable knowledge that you can listen. So just join us and share.
As always, if you want to get in touch with us, if there is anything that you want to tell us, drop us a line at info@chequesplay.com. We'll be more than happy to answer to you. And if you want to suggest a guest or a topic that you want to hear here, or just let us know. We'll be more than happy to try to take care of it for you.
Okay. Miguel, who's our next guest? Who's coming up next? Do you know?
Our next guest will be Hina Reed.
Yes.
From Next Gen.
Next Gen, Las Vegas.
Wonderful lady, a good friend of ours. So we'll be bringing her next.
Oh, absolutely.
Amazing, amazing. Can't wait.
So until then, Cheques Play.
Yes.
Cheques Play.
Let's do it.
Bye.
Bye.
Geoff Hall, mathematician and inventor of the most successful table games, was guest of our third episode at the Cheques Play Podcast. He is a true creative genius. You can reach Geoff out at his email jeff@blackjackswitch.com. I'm sure you'll love this episode, so please help us so more people can know about Cheques Play Podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, so hit the like button, subscribe to be informed about new episodes, and share it with your friends and family.